My saying is the only way out is through.
How do I be somebody's wife? What does this even look like?
You need to know walking in the room who you are.
I wanted to know who is God.
How is this helping, building, or pulling me down?
Paulette and I are with you again for HerSide, and we are talking today about breaking bad habits from the female position, right? We have an amazing coach, Coach Lily, with us today, who has an amazing opinion on this, and I'm actually really excited to get into it. Can you just share with us a little bit of what you think women have really bad habits that we need to learn to break? What do you think those are?
Well, we have a lot of bad habits.
We do.
We're full of bad habits. We do it every single day. And I guess we first need to clarify what a habit is.
Yeah.
A habit is a thing that we do, thoughts, decisions, actions that we take every single day. And a habit takes 40 to 60% of our behavior every single day. So out of those 40 to 60%, most of them are bad habits. A habit is your success and your satisfaction. It's the result of your habits. That's how impactful they are. Bad habits are a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them, and it's just thoughts. It's just a simple thought as like, should I get up right now? Or the bam to the alarm. Single little things like that that have a big impact during the day.
I like what you just said, that bad habits, or part of bad habits, attributes to your success, or your habits in general, whether they're good or bad, attributes to your success. So if they're bad habits, you probably won't be successful, right?
Yes.
So what would be a bad habit that as women, just like something that's frequent, something that you can think of that maybe we can really work on as a whole?
As simple as we're going to talk a little bit more about our thoughts, which that's what I want to address, because that's where everything starts, right? Your thoughts and then your actions. But something starting your day as first thing, drinking coffee. That right there, that's the beginning of that's when the spaceship goes down. Because we should learn to nurture ourselves, and that starts with our thoughts. We don't know how to nurture ourselves. We don't know how to be with one another. We don't know how to have a conversation, and we don't know how to start. The healthy conversation it's not like, oh, I'm comparing with you, because right now I can be like, oh, what is she wearing? Oh my God. And that's what we start. When we go to a group setting, have coffee, whatever that is, the first thing that we start doing is comparing ourselves. Oh, my hair, oh, my makeup, oh. And then we start, we go through the process of stress and anxiety just by comparing, by looking. But that's one of the things that we need to start addressing at the very beginning of the day, so we can have a successful day.
With like affirmations, or what do you think, like, what does that look like? How do you address that?
I like the affirmations, but it starts with actions. See, habits are actions. Habits are the things that you do. And that starts with taking care of yourself. How do you take care of yourself? You wake up in the morning and then you stretch, drink water. That's the beginning. That's setting yourself for success. Have a cup of water when you wake up. Make your bed. Brush your teeth. It's funny I said that, brush your teeth, because for you or for all of us, it's like, well, yeah, we have to brush our teeth, But there's a lot of women that don't do it.
Oh.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a big surprise. It's like, what do you mean?
When you say don't do it, do you mean like kind of like women that are like busy, maybe that work remote? Because I know for me, for a while, I worked remote, and it's just like, get up, get into the laptop. And you're right. Like, I'm very, me, Melissa, I'm very hygienic. I'm very like OCD with stuff. However, it's like when your work is demanding of you, it's just like, and before you know it, hours have passed by, and it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't brush my teeth. I didn't just take a moment to sit with my thoughts. I didn't, it definitely affects my day. Yeah. It's like hours have passed by, and I'm like, look at a mess, teeth not brushed. Nothing.
So it's not just
I haven't even eaten.
That's so. It's not just that like you have bad breath and it's bad hygiene. It's like the littlest thing I didn't give to myself
Self-care.
today. The right smallest thing that I should have done, that's just obvious that I could have done, I didn't give to myself today because everyone else mattered first or mattered more.
And
So
hear
that
you
is a
saying-
bad habit.
Hearing yourself saying
Absolutely.
it, you say, but that's common sense.
Yeah, it's brush your
right?
teeth. That's
right?
common
It's
sense.
like it's common sense, but in practice, everything doesn't come commonsensical.
Absolutely.
It's something that requires. It takes for some people a week to acquire a new habit. There's people that takes a year to acquire a new habit or to change habits. So it's not commonsensical. It's something that needs practice, and it needs to start at the very. Actually, no. Let me rephrase that. It starts before you go to bed.
Yeah.
It's all about structure, and when I say, I usually say you need discipline, and people think, yes sir, no sir. It's not about that. It's about taking care of yourself first, giving yourself love first.
Right.
Because if you don't give yourself love, if you don't have love for yourself, then how can you give it to others?
Right.
And I know, I get it. We want to be successful and we want to be independent, which I want to address that. We want to be everything for everybody. We want to be a good mom and also a perfect executive. And I want to be professional and I want to be a good friend. Oh, and a good daughter. Oh, good wife. We want to, during the day, we have
Right.
all of these things that we want to achieve for everybody. But at what point do you start with yourself? So it is good to take care of yourself, your work and take care of all of that. But focusing the first thing on that when you wake up in the morning, you're not giving yourself service.
Yeah.
You're doing a disservice for yourself.
I like what
Yeah,
you said.
yeah.
You have to start the night before.
Yes.
It doesn't start in the morning. I'm going
That's
to say
important.
that I
is
did that once
Extremely important.
in my whole life and it worked. I don't know why I never did it again. It was work to do it, but I did it once in my whole life where the night before I had a calendar it was 15-minute slots. You know, people have calendars and it's like by the hour. That don't help me at all. But it was 15-minute slots and I was able to write, okay, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to plug in everything I had to do because I was so overwhelmed with what I knew my to-do list looked like the next day that I wrote it all down on a paper to get it out of my brain so it wasn't ping-ponging inside with all this anxiety. And I put it in front of my face on a list and I still was overwhelmed because now it's in my face and I'm like, well, I got to organize this. So I put it on the calendar and it was line by line, 15-second slots with a couple of breaks in between. The next day, I have never been so productive in my whole life and I never did it again.
Yeah, I can attest it makes a difference because I say, okay, the next day I'm gonna do all of these things. But if I don't prepare the night before, just like Melissa was saying, I get up and the day just gets away from me again. So intention without action
Means nothing.
means absolutely nothing. So I have to, I have these intentions, but I have to put action behind it. So the night before I am, like you said, focus in and said, okay, what is my morning going to look like? What is my afternoon going to look like? And then also ending my night well too.
And on that note, I like what you guys are saying. Yes, about productivity. Yes, having all in order so you don't go to bed and having anxiety like you're like that, planning your next day and you cannot go to bed and all of that stuff. That's one of the sides. And also planning for yourself, working on yourself. So basically, there's people that say, well, you have to sleep 7-8 hours. And there's people that say, oh, you're crazy. I cannot sleep 7 hours. Or are you crazy? I need to sleep 9 hours. Everybody has different routines. But on that note, it's not just sleeping 6, 7, 8 hours. It's going to bed, creating the habits to go to bed at the same time. That's preparing yourself for success. Because it's as simple as this. And I like to bring this up. During your day of work, you're planning for a break. You go to work and then you plan for a day and you say, oh, at 11, I'm so hungry, but at 11, I'm going to go have lunch. Yeah. So you're kind of like, or, oh, in half an hour, I'm going to go home because it's 6 p.m., whatever. So you mentally prepare for that break that you need. So you kind of like that anxiety and stress relaxes you. Yes. So your brain needs the same soup. You need to it needs to know, at 11 p.m. I'm going to bed, because your brain doesn't shut down. Yeah. Your brain, during that time that you go to bed, breaks down everything that happened during the day. And your brain is looking for that. It's like, okay, so this drama and situation that happened during your day, at what time am I going to have to break it down? So it's your brain is in that stress and anxiety, right? So when you pick having discipline and creating a structure to say, at 11 p.m. I'm going to go to bed regardless.
Yeah.
If I don't don't fall asleep, it's not on me. I already did my job. So that's a preparation, giving yourself time to work on your stuff, to work on your program for the next day, so you don't have all that anxiety of what is going to happen, anticipating the future anxiety. And then you pick the time, you go to bed, and that helps you feel accomplished.
Yes.
Why? Because it's like, I made a promise to myself.
And I kept it.
And I kept it.
That's right. I accomplished something.
For me, I keep promises to people all the time. And that's something we had talked about before, is like she had shared with me at one point, like, okay, well, it doesn't mean you can't keep promises because you do it. You keep it. You can commit. It's not that you can't commit, because you commit. When are we going to do that for ourselves instead of put us to the back burner? Because we've made so many commitments to other people, and that happens so frequently for me, where I'm like, I can get to my stuff later. I promised everyone else.
I know for me, it's challenging, because it's like I want to do so many different things, and it's like I have so many great ideas to like have self-care and take care of myself, and so I'll have all of these goals, and then I won't even accomplish a quarter of them, and it's very easy to get discouraged, like, oh, well, here I go again, back to square one. So I have learned to give myself grace. It goes back what you were saying, like we give other people grace, we commit to other people. We need to learn to do the same for ourselves. So I've noticed that when I give myself the grace, then I'm not so hard on myself. Then I don't feel so defeated when I don't meet these goals or take care of myself or do these things that I said I wanted to do. And I just go back to step one and I say, okay, well, Paulette, just do this one thing. Let's try and create a habit out of this one thing. And so and I'm saying this because this is what I've been doing. So lately I've been just working out. It's like, okay, just make it to the one class at 9 o'clock. Just shut out everything else. Just do that. So
that's good. Yeah.
And on that note, at the beginning of the year, we all like, this is the year that I'm going to lose 20 pounds. This is what we go for, especially we as women. That's what we do. But the big mistake, bad habit number one, we go and enroll to the gym. Wrong. Why? Because we're going to commit to something that we're not going to do. We're going to feel guilty about it, and then we're going to say, oh, you didn't do it, or you didn't commit, and then start pointing fingers to ourselves. So that giving grace to yourself is not creating a list of 50 things to do today. That's what we do.
That's good.
We go like, and then we are like, oh, and I'm gonna go do this, and then we go fast on creating. I guess we compete with each other, with yourself, on making the longer list, right? And then at the end of the day, it's like, oh, I just did 2. And then you feel bad. Go back. It's like, you feel guilty. You feel betrayed by yourself. You feel that you failed. You feel all of those things. So how do you give grace to yourself? Creating bad habit, creating a long list. Good habit, start with 5 things.
Yes.
And you'll see that you do it. Commit to those 5 things. You're going to achieve it. And at the end of the day, you're going to say, yeah, I did it. Good me. Yes.
Right.
And then you feel satisfied with yourself. Self-esteem grows. You start you're developing yourself, working on your self-esteem. You're working on your self-development. You're working in a lot of different things just by achieving 5 things. But we think in this world of we have to do more and we have to compete with men. Let me tell you, and this is just so we know. I always say, we women are more emotional.
Right.
And then people like, oh, you're crazy. What are you talking about? Why are you saying, are you a feminist or you're whatever? And no, what I'm trying to say is we women, we physiologically, we produce a lot of different things, but we produce estrogen and testosterone, basic. Men produce estrogen and testosterone, the same thing. Thing is, we women, we produce more estrogen and less testosterone. So what happens is, in general speaking, more estrogen is more emotions. Testosterone helps balance those emotions, helps with that, right? So men are better. Men struggle with less depression, less anxiety, less stress because they have more testosterone, so they can work with those emotions. They have more tools.
Do they actually? I feel like, I don't usually
I mean,
take
this
the
is-
side,
this is-
but I'm just wondering because I feel like their stresses and their anxiety is just
It's
different.
different.
It's
It looks
different.
different.
Maybe they deal with it differently based off of the
Yes.
testosterone making them think more than being more emotional. I don't know. I would
Yes.
have to ask the men that question, but I just for those of you that are about to come after us for saying that sentence, I was just thinking maybe it's both
Just deal different with
types.
it.
They just deal different.
You get frustrated or someone makes you angry and you like, if you're driving, you probably be like, there's men that act like that too, but we just lose it a little bit faster.
Yeah.
We just have the tendency to lose it or to interact with our spouse in a louder way. Usually, not all of us, but it's usual women, that's usual behavior, more emotional. Or you hear someone talking and it's like, is she talking about me? And men don't really care if someone is talking about sometimes.
Overthinking. Yeah, I see. I mean, I can relate to that because I'm a female though. So I don't know. I feel like if we had the men in the seats, they'd be like, no, we do this. And they'd be coming at us, right? But I think it's fair to say this is what we deal with. We
Yes.
deal with those types of emotions. We deal with comparing ourselves. We deal with overthinking, anxiety, all of that stuff, those stressors for
Yes.
us, right?
It's just that yes, we are dealing different with it. We just deal different and we just have the tendency to be more emotional towards it, to reaction, and the way
So-
we react.
You're saying is that it doesn't necessarily mean that we stress more, and correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't mean that we stress more or are more emotional. It's just that we express it more.
Yes, when we say take control of your emotions, we allow our emotions to take control of us and our behavior. And that's what we do. We women allowed our emotions most of the time, sometimes, some of you.
There you go. We're using the right terminology now. You can't get us. Go ahead.
Some of you, and I include myself on that package, depending on the day, we have cycles, right?
Time of
We
the
go
month.
like
yes,
this.
exactly.
So sometimes we have the tendency to allow our emotions to take control,
Yeah.
to take the wheel. So we don't let Jesus take the wheel, we take the wheel, our emotions take the wheel. And that's when a lot of conflict happens. We yell, we fight. Oh, I don't talk to my friend anymore. Oh, she's not my friend anymore. We go through that because we allow those emotions to take control.
Yeah.
So part of this, that's a bad habit. That is a very bad habit because we can do something about it. We can change that. But how do we change that? First of all, I like to say, I like the reverse engineering. I like that because we have to, you cannot say, oh, this is what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
You don't think like, I know what I'm doing wrong. No, we don't do that. What we do is, okay, so this is a problem. And then when poop hits the fan, that's when he's like, oh, that's right.
I never heard that. When poop hits the fan. So you're saying that we are not aware of it. We
No.
don't allow ourselves to be aware. So that's one of the first
Until
things.
it blows up.
Until it blows up. So yeah, exactly. So the way that we can counter our emotional reactions is by being aware of the fact that we're getting a little bit too emotional first and too quickly.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Got it.
So it's first we need to see when we messed up. That's when you said, "Oh, I probably shouldn't not say that." Or we feel guilty. It's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I wish I didn't say that," or "I wish I didn't send that text message," or it's usually how it works. The afterwards. So we need to, in order for us to know what we are doing wrong, first we need to look at the results. Problems. Okay, now reverse engineer it. How did I get there?
Yeah.
Ask ourselves, but we never don't get there. We just like, oh, we go in this wheel mode at trying to do something about it instead of trying to understand where that comes from. We don't. We try to fix things and then we create more problems and then more problems instead of really going back and learning from our mistakes. We are very critical of us, of ourselves. You to yourself, me to myself, you to yourself. And that's what we do. And because we don't want to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I don't want to fail. So we become very critical. So we got to learn, where does that start? Okay, the beginning of my problems. What did I do wrong? And then based on that, there's a word that not everybody likes it that is called triggers. You have the problem.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar with that word.
Yeah. So you have the problem, right? Already, there's a problem. So then you go back. It's like, how did I get to that problem? Okay, my behavior. What was my behavior? What was my part in that problem? Okay, this is my behavior. Why did I behave like that?
Right.
Trigger.
Right.
What triggered me to act that way? And that goes with the thoughts that we have, right? Okay, why did I yell at her? Or why did I look at her that way? You know? And triggers can be a place, it can be timing, it can be a person, it can be an action, it can be the weather, it can be many different things, you know, emotions. So then once you find the trigger, then you can say, when I feel this way, this is my behavior. And if I have this behavior, this is what can happen.
So in sense, that would mean that we would need to self-reflect, which is what a lot of us don't want to do. It's easier to just blame the person or blame the situation and to say, you know, you made me do this, or you made me this way, or and I'm not saying that there isn't fault in the situation or, you know, with the person. However, it goes back to that word trigger, which means that there's a trauma there. And we have to be able to be willing to sit with ourselves and say, why did that bother me so bad? Because in reality, if you're secure in yourself and you're where you need to be physically, emotionally, and spiritually, a lot can happen, and you can kind of like float above it and say, you know what, that was out of order, or that made me feel a certain way. You are able to respond in a responsible and healthy manner versus just lashing out. So when it hits us, it's like, up, trigger, up, really trauma, up, I gotta self-reflect. What's there, you know? And a lot of us aren't willing to do that.
Yeah. I wonder why we don't. Sometimes I've thought through that process, because it seems like this is not like brain surgery. Like, this is not new stuff we don't know, as far as that it's important to introspectively look at ourselves and figure out why. But we don't choose to do that most times immediately.
It's hard.
Yeah, but it is hard. It is hard. But I just want to find out, even if it's obvious common sense, just so we say it out loud, what is it that is so difficult for us to sit back? We want our men to do it. You don't see yourself. You don't see yourself. I need you to see you. This is what you're doing. Why can't we do the same thing? And I actually can say I put the effort in doing that. I can't tell you I do it every single time. My husband will tell you I don't do it every time. But I know that I put the effort into it. And the only reason I say that, and again, maybe not every time, but I make a really big effort because I really want to understand what the heck is wrong with me sometimes. Like, why is that happening? I'm getting the same results over and over and over again. Why? I am the common denominator. Why? Like, what can I change? What is it? Like, if you are the common denominator and you're the one thing that is the same in your friendships, in your church, at your job, in your relationships, and everybody's telling you the same thing, or you're having the same, even if they're not telling you the same thing, but the result is the same problem, you can't keep friends. You don't have, look back in your life and you're like, shoot, I have not, if you don't have a friend for 10 years, just one in your life, and it's not because you had a huge life change, like you might have moved someplace, you know what I'm saying, and you lost all your friends, or you might have had a different experience in life, whatever, where you got real sick for a long time and some people fell off. Like, but I'm saying, if you went through everyday life stuff for the last 10 years and you don't have one person that's still by your side, that tolerates you, that deals with, like, look at you. There's a reason that somebody didn't stick with you. That's actually what I used to look at in relationships, is let me see your friends. Because if I can't find somebody who really has something good to say about you, or even if they don't have something great to say, because it's like your brother and you're like, I can't stand this dude, you know, but they're still here. So, and they're still with you. And so there's still something about that that's connected. That's when we have to look at ourselves and say, okay, what's happening here that's not balanced out, where I need to work on that, if that makes sense. I know for us, there's another thing that we talked about, I just want to touch on briefly, because I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but is the bad habit of us not attributing our success to our own self, which some people will call imposter syndrome, where we don't feel adequate enough to sit in a room or stand in a room with other people that we feel might be at a different level than we are, because we don't attribute our own success to ourselves to think that we are valid enough or good enough to sit in that same room. And we're so busy comparing with everyone else. Have you guys, I don't want to say have you experienced imposter syndrome, some people don't buy into it, but some form of it, have you experienced that?
And I'm gonna let you speak on this because you're well versed in it. But it's unfortunate you see it every day, and I think Instagram entertainment has a lot to do with it. Not Instagram, social media.
Same thing, yeah, but part of it, yeah,
a part of it. But there was something that I read recently where it talks about, on your worst day, being you, a genuine you, the real you, is better than ever being a fake you. And that it goes back to self-reflect and all of that. We just really have to sit and say, okay, am I happy with myself? Why am I not happy with myself? You know what I mean? It's easy to look at someone else and to look at other situations and to look at what people have. Even if you're the most perfect person and you have everything you want, you're going to still always want more. You're going to always compare yourself. Yeah. So if you don't sit with yourself now and find peace within yourself now, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to.
Right. And I just want to say that both of you say something very critical. You said, why don't we just stop and think about it? Why don't we do it? Because we always have something better to do.
We're always busy. That's not a lie. It's true. Just go. I'll think about that later. Or, dang, that was weird. Oh, anyway. Yeah. I shouldn't have said that. Oh, well. It's not like, why did I say that? Let me think through that. Why did I just scream at my child? Yeah, she did something wrong, but it was not called for. And now she has absorbed that negativity or that reaction. Mm-hmm. And I'm not thinking through what that looks like. Going back to say, I'm sorry. Let me take the time. I owe that to myself, but I owe it to her. I owe it to myself so I get better. I owe it to her because she didn't deserve that lash out in that way, even if the action deserved or that deserved a response. It might not have been that response. Yeah. So I think it's really important, like you said, for that introspect, like that interpersonal look at me exercise that we do and really sit back and be aware of the stuff that we're doing, even if we don't do it immediately, but you go back to it, make a mental note, freaking put it in your notes. I know that's kind of cheesy, but write it down. Think about what just happened later so you don't forget it. Put a voice note, whatever that looks like, because it's important that we do go back to look at that so that we can actually change and grow, right? Yes. Guys, same thing. During this time frame, we have a lot of bad habits that we need to break, but in this month, it is Freedom Month, right? Mm-hmm. We're in an Independence Freedom Month, and we're all going to crack fireworks and stuff. You be the firework. Be that dynamic person with that personality that's outgoing and that's loving on people and all that this month. All of that is great. Reflect on yourself and determine what it is that you're doing that is not the best habitual lifestyle that you could potentially break or that you could work on changing and removing, just so that we can do the best we can to be better for ourselves and for other people. Yeah. Right?
Give yourself the time that you want others to give you. Yeah. You're always asking your husband, wow, when is he going to give me time? Or your kids, it's I want to spend time with them, but when are you going to spend time with yourself? And that imposter syndrome everybody has it. Mm-hmm. I believe everybody has it. At some point of the day, you have a negative self-talk. Yeah. Or you have these doubts about yourself, or you're oh, did I say the right thing? Every day happens something. And for us women, it happens often that you achieve something. You do something, a milestone or whatever it is. 2 pounds that you lost, or whatever. Yeah. And then you said, oh, great. And then my mom helped me. Yeah. Or my husband helped me a lot. Yeah. Or I'm lucky. You give it to luck, you give it to everybody else, but you never give it to yourself. And that's when we achieve little things, the bad habit is give it to everybody else. That's a very bad habit. Yeah. How we do a good habit, how we change it is, let's have a little celebration. Celebrate the little milestones. How do you do that? I'm not saying go drink, go party, because that's what we do. Lily said, let's go celebrate. Yeah. No. Little celebrations is when you celebrate with yourself. When you take a moment and you say, I did it. I put the effort, I put the time, I put the money, I put whatever, but I did it. Mm-hmm. It takes 5-10 minutes in which you give it to yourself and you're like, oh, I did it. Yeah. Oh, I can. And it starts, the negative self-talk, it won't stop. I don't think we'll ever stop. Yeah. I do this work every single day, and I have it. I hear all these people, and it's good. Another great thing to do is listen to other people. because when they share their stories, you can say, oh, whoa, they struggle too.
Yeah.
Oh, they went through hard time too.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't come up for them like that. So that help us create a better, healthier perspective.
Yeah, I like that. So we are in that time frame for us to be able to celebrate. It is a celebration during this month anyway, but for us to celebrate the little wins and to celebrate one another. So for sure, join us next time. Come back so that we can continue to build a community together as women and keep encouraging one another and celebrating together.
Let's hear from her side. Her side. When I talk.